Welcome to Civil Projects of Onumoy. From surveying, actually a civil project starts. So I am trying to give some notes one by one. Surveyors have to take more attention on this point. Today, if we avoid to get this knowledge as high precision instruments came in the market, then the basic will be unknown. Basically, a surveyor have to do field work, office work and caring of instruments. In the field work, collecting data of the area by measuring distances and angles, locating permanent points and obstacles, recordings in the field book and setting out of boundaries of the project are the major part. In office work, preparation of plans and sections, computation of area and volume, and design of structures on the basis of field data are main. Taking care of instruments and calibrated time to time are also included with this job. Drawing to scale means plotting a field date to a reduced scale on drawing sheets. This ratio is called representative factor RF. There are mainly three types of scale. They are plane, diagonal or vernier. Plane scale represents only two dimensions. It is in 12 numbers, different ratio and called as rib scales also. A, B, C, D, E, F are the mentions. Diagonal scales used for 3 dimension. As example, I had construct a diagonal scale 1 centimeter is equal to 2.5 kilometer and showing measure 32.6 kilometer on it. A typical diagonal scale of 50 centimeter shown here. It is of C type, graduated lengths specified for A, B, C and D are 150 centimeter, 100 centimeter, 50 centimeter and 15 centimeter respectively. The vernier is a device for measuring fractional parts of the smallest division of the main scale. It consists essentially of a small scale called the vernier scale, which moves with its graduated edge along the graduated edge of a long fixed scale called the main or primary scale. The vernier carries an index mark which forms the zero of the vernier divisions and is denoted by an arrow. The scale may be either straight or curved. For direct vernier, if required to read 1/nth part of the smallest division on the primary scale, n-1 primary division or spaces are taken and divided into n equal divisions on the vernier scale. Difference between the value linear or angular of the smallest division on the main scale are the value of smallest division on the vernier scale is equal to 1/nth the value of smallest division of main scale and known as the least count of vernier. It is important to observe that the vernier is read in the same direction as the main scale. For retrograde vernier, vernier divisions are larger than the primary division. n+1 divisions or spaces on the primary scale are taken and divided into n divisions on the vernier scale. Here, main and vernier scales are graduated in opposite directions. In the case of a vertical vernier attached to the vertical circle of a transit which is divided into the quadrant, two sets of figures are marked on a single vernier instead of fitting a double vernier. In reading the vernier, that set is used which increases in the same direction as the figures on the quadrant which is being read. In the case of the vernier used on the Abney level, the least count is 10 minute. 11 spaces of the main scale graduated to 1 degree are divided into 6 spaces on the vernier. The extended vernier employed in the astronomical sextant reads to 10 second. The arc division are 10 minute each and 60 divisions on the vernier correspond to 119 arc divisions. On the small transits and compasses, double-folded vernier used. There are two rows of figures on the vernier. For angles, read in a clockwise direction. Use the lower row of figures on the left-hand vernier for less than 15 minutes and the upper row of figures on the right-hand vernier for more than 15 minutes. For angles read in the counterclockwise direction, use the lower row of figures on the right-hand vernier for less than 15 minutes and the upper row of figures on the left-hand vernier for more than 15 minutes. To construct a scale of chords, draw a quadrant AOB and divide the arc AB into 9 equal parts of 10 degree each. Produce AO to C, making AC is equal to AB. With A as a center, describe arcs from each of the divisions, cutting AC in the point 10, 20, 30, etc. and complete the scale as shown. It may be noted that the distance from A to each division on the scale is the chord of the angle containing that number of degrees. The chord of 60 degree is always equal to the radius OA. To measure a distance in direct method, we use steel tape or laser beam of total station. Somewhere, perambulator also used for rapid determination of distances. Other all instruments are obsolete. Yet, we have to know some instruments according to degree of accuracy. This is passometer. It should be carried vertically in the waistcoat pocket or suspended from one of the buttons. It is operated by motion of the body and gives approximate result. This is perambulator. It resembles a single bicycle wheel provided with forks and a handle. It is wheeled along the line whose length is desired. The distance traversed is automatically registered on the dials. These readings are approximate on rough ground. The chain is composed of 100 or 150 pieces of galvanized mild steel wire 4 mm in diameter called links. The ends of each link are bent into a loop and connected together by means of 3 oval rings which afford flexibility to the chain and make it less liable to become kinked. The joints of the links are usually open, but in the best chains, they are welded so as to render the chain less liable to stretching. The ends of the chain are provided with brass handles for dragging the chain on the ground, each with a swivel joint so that the chain can be turned round without twisting. The outside of the handle is the 0 point or the end point of the chain, and the length of the chain is measured from the outside of one handle to the outside of the other. Accompanying each chain are 10 arrows. They are also called marking or chaining pins and are used to mark the end of each chain during the process of chaining. They are made of good quality hardened and tempered steel wire 4 mm in diameter and of a minimum tensile strength of 70 kg per millimeter square. The wire is black enameled. The arrows are made 400 mm in length, are pointed at one end for inserting into the ground and bent into a ring at the other end for the facility of carrying. Ranging rods are used for marking the positions of station conspicuously and for ranging the lines. They are made of well-seasoned straight-grained timber of teak, blue pine, shishu or deodar. They are circular or octagonal in cross section of 3 cm nominal diameter and shoot with cross through 15 cm long at the lower end. They are made of two sized, namely one of 2 meter and the other of 3 meter, and are divided into equal parts, each 0.2 meter long. Offset rod is similar to ranging rod but is usually 3 meter long and is divided into parts, each 0.2 meter in length. The plumb bob is required when measuring distances along slopes in a hilly country in order to transfer points to the ground as in the method of stepping. It is also used for accurate centering of a theodolite over a station mark and for testing the verticality of ranging poles. It is a Abney label. It is light, compact hand instrument of low precision. It is very convenient for rapid work. It is chiefly used for measuring angles of elevation and depression, taking cross section in the hilly or mountainous country, measuring the slope of ground when chaining along uneven ground, and tracing grade contour for the alignment of a hill road. It may also be used as a hand label by setting the vernier to the zero of the scale. In measuring a vertical angle, the observer directs the instrument towards the objects and bisects it with the crosswire and at the same time turns the milled wheel until the crosswire bisects the reflection of the bubble as seen in the mirror. He then reads the required angle on the arc by means of the vernier. It may be noted that the bubble tube is always horizontal and the vernier arm vertical, whatever may be the inclination of the telescope. It is a transit theodolite. It consists of essentially the leveling head, the two spindles, the lower plate, the upper plate, the level tubes, the standards, the compass, the telescope, the vertical circle, and the index bar or T frame. The leveling head consists of two circular plates called parallel plates kept at a fixed distance apart by a ball and socket arrangement, and four screws called the leveling foot screws, or a tri-brach plate with three arms each carrying a leveling screw. The lower parallel plate has a central aperture through which a plumb bob may be suspended. The upper parallel plate, or tri-brach, is supported by means of four or three leveling screws by which the instrument may be leveled. In modern instruments, the shifting head is provided to center the instrument quickly and accurately. It consists of two plates movable relatively to each other and to the tripod head. By this arrangement, the whole instrument can be rotated through a small horizontal distance relatively to the tripod. I shall describe about it thoroughly next day. The planimeter is most useful in determining the areas of figure plotted to scale, especially when the boundaries are irregular or curved, such as river boundaries, etc. It consists of two arms hinged at a point called pivot point. One of the two arms are called the anchor arm and is of fixed length. It carries a needle point called the anchor point, which is fixed in the paper and held in position by a small weight which is detachable. The other arm, called the tracing arm, is of an adjustable length and carries a tracing point which is moved round the boundary of the area to be measured. The box sextant is a reflecting type of instrument capable of measuring angles up to 120 and reads to 1 minute. Thanks for listening. From next day, I shall discuss about various items of civil engineering. Some notes may be useful for every steps of projects. If you enjoy a little by meeting with me, then please subscribe my channel and give comments with like and share. Goodbye.